The Panasonic Lumix GH6 is a major update over the GH5. The video modes, wow, there's an awful lot to go through there. The sensor, there's a lot to go through there. And the autofocus system, well, there's a lot to cover there. I'm going to do my best to get through everything, cover off the main points. First, let's talk about the GH6 and the new sensor. It comes with a 25 megapixel sensor, a PLF sensor, and of course it's micro four thirds, but using pixel shift technology, it's going to be able to deliver 100 megapixels. As far as video goes, well, this camera is going to be highly capable. We'll get to the video modes shortly, but it is capable of 5.7K video. Now, in terms of, there's an awful lot to go through here. I haven't had a chance to memorize everything, so bear with me as I read off some of this stuff. Now, as far as sensor readout, this is a much faster sensor, as is the processor, and it's capable of up to 300 frames per second sensor readout. In terms of 4K, we do get that 4K 120 frames per second, and you'll remember the OM1 topped out at 4K 60. Not really a huge surprise here, because really the OM is going after the stills photographer, the adventurer, the traveler that is more focused on stills than video, and the Panasonic GH6, as you're going to find out here in these specifications, is all about video, and this thing is really gotten a lot more power. So it's got twice the computational processing power, twice the noise reduction level. So noise reduction is really good. High performance 3D NR for video. Now I'm going to give you the video mode. So the video modes are 4K 120, and that's 420, 10-bit at 300 megabits per second. 4K 60, 422, 10-bit at astonishing 800 megabits per second. Now this is higher than what we're seeing in a lot of other cameras. That's a pretty significant bit rate. And 5.7K, are you ready? At up to 60 frames per second is 420 10-bit at 300 megabits. Now the Cinema 4K 120 is 420, but the Cinema 4K 60 is 422. Both are 10-bit. The Cinema K4 120 is 300 megabits per second, and the Cinema 4K 60 is 800 or 600 megabits per second. And I love this next piece. Panasonic, I love you guys. You're really thinking of the video user. Panasonic is providing containers of MP4 and Apple ProRes 422. Oh, so this is the second company to do this. Nikon is going to be doing it in a future firmware update for the Nikon Z9. And here, in a $2,000-ish camera, we're getting Apple ProRes 422, and I think that's incredible. Now the Canon R5C, no, Apple ProRes, not even in the R5. Canon, are you listening? Look at what Panasonic is doing here. Apple ProRes, that's really, really awesome. All right, but that's not all. Something else, Panasonic, I'm really, really gushing over this one here. We do get dual card slots, but it gets better. One of them is a CF Express card Type B, not Type A, Type B. So that means being able to use cards like the Angelbird, the AV Pro that's capable of, what, up to 1,300 megabytes, not bits per second sustained write speeds. And even if you're just getting, you know, a low-end model for $180, $179.99, this one here is a 512 gig card capable of 800 gigabytes per second, more than capable of handling anything that the GH6 can throw at it. So to get two card slots, I know they're not both CF Express, but at this level, to be getting at least one, look at the OM1. It didn't get any, they're just UHS-2 card slots. And of course, the other card slot is a UHS-2 SD card. Same as what I have in the R5. And what I've done in the R5, I used the 2 terabyte Angelbird AV Pro card in there. I'm just using the regular Mark 1 right now. I haven't put the Mark 2 in yet. I'm saving that for a special occasion. No, it's new. I don't want to, you know, don't want to start using it yet. The other one's still working fine. That's why. So in the other card slot, I just have a 1 terabyte, and I record to both card slots. So that way, if I lose any video, I'll go to the V30 SD card. It's good enough for recording 4K. Not good enough to edit off of or to copy off of, but if I lose my CF Express card for any reason, I don't care if it takes a bit of time to get it off. It's there, it's for safety rollover. So this is really, really incredible. Now they don't mention whether it supports larger container sizes north of 2 terabytes or not, but still, just truly incredible that we get that. Now in terms of dynamic range, 13 plus stops of dynamic range, and ISO of 800. Hold on a minute. If you shoot log, you'll understand why this is important. It has a minimum ISO of 800 for log. So this is going to help you capture the most dynamic range. It prevents people from making mistakes of trying to set their ISO to something less than 800. And it really produces really good results. I find that when I try to aim right at 800 or 1600, I find that multiples of 800 work better than just even going to 1000 or 1200. But this is really, really good news. And also IBIS. IBIS was very good before. They're saying it's about 7.5 stops, but they have new gyro stabilization. And they're saying that the stabilization in the GH6 is so much better than the GH5 or the, it's just really good. And the built-in microphone, 24-bit. And it supports 4-channel XLR. So if you've got like the Tascam XLR, it'll support that as well. Not really a surprise. We kind of expected that. But in terms of, let's go off and take a look at the autofocus system. And I'm going to take my glasses off because I want to look you directly in the eyes. And I get it. I all along have told you how much I prefer a trustworthy, reliable autofocus system. And at this point, we don't know how much improvements they put into the depth from defocus autofocus system. But from the sense that I'm getting from this camera already, everything they put into this camera, on top of the capabilities that GH5 already had with waveforms, vector scopes, and a whole bunch of other things, with the extra processing, it's definitely going to improve low light performance. It's going to improve dynamic range, higher frame rates, more detail. I'd be shocked if they haven't significantly improved the autofocus system. And see, this is not from somebody who's been shooting, like Gordon Lang, who's been doing this for decades, reviewing cameras. I'm kind of aiming this at the ordinary filmmaker, the ordinary photographer, and there's still part of me inside, that little kid that's going, come on, Panasonic, come on, pull it off. Give us an autofocus system that works, that's reliable. And we'll have to wait and see. But as far as the specifications, this is what they've told us. So what we know is that, well, AF is better, and I don't doubt Lumix, because pretty well every time they've come out with a new camera or firmware update, guess what has improved? The autofocus system, and they're telling us once again that the AF is better. AF calculations are 3 times as fast, so that should certainly help. And they say that tracking performance is greatly improved. There's 315 autofocus points, and it'll do basically everything: human eye detection, pupil, animal subject detection, although it's sadly not going to do boat detection. And yes, for the one person who didn't think I was joking when I was talking about the OM1 not doing boat detection, it was kind of my way of saying the OM1 tracks pretty well everything. It's surprising they just didn't put in boat detection. That kind of captures the GH6 in a nutshell, and there's an awful lot to go through here. There's an awful lot to unpack. For the autofocus system to be better, they definitely needed new processors and sensors. They needed to be able to push more bandwidth. They needed more computational power. Autofocus is one of those things that does need power. So does producing a very high detailed 4K, whether it be 30 frames per second, 24, 25, or 60. And to do 4K 120, which I love on the R5, I have to say it is a little bit soft. Could the GH6 provide 4K 120 that's sharper than the R5? I'd certainly love to see that. That would make me really, really excited. But we'll just have to wait and see. And the autofocus system, I'm really looking forward to seeing this. Now, my recommendation, if the autofocus system does matter and you're still frustrated that it has the depth from defocus, contrast detect, autofocus system, one of the biggest problems with that is just it's way too many letters. They need to simplify that. But the biggest problem is how it works. It has to defocus and pass the point, and then it's able to calculate where the focus point is. And that creates a little bit of pulsing. But still, with the improvements here, can they do it fast enough so we don't notice the difference? I mean, after all, 30 frames per second isn't video. It's 30 frames stacked on top of each other over a second that gives the illusion of movement. I mean, video, after all, isn't, well, movement of movies. Nothing is moving. That's where movie, the term, came from. It's a whole bunch of stacked images. So if they can do this fast enough and do it well enough, can they do it so the hunting is not noticeable to the human eye? And if that is the case, they will have a huge win here, but it's a big if. Now, many of you, like Jesse, I saw some of your comments from my earlier video where I put out some photos. I can see a lot of you are excited by the GH6 just from the photos alone. But these specifications, you know, it shows that Panasonic is listening. I don't know why they haven't switched to a phase detect, because let's face it, Jesse, whether you like Panasonic or not, we're all coming to the conclusion of, well, why don't they just move on to phase detect, and then that way we can stop talking about this silly conversation. because everything else, a CF Express Type B card slot, it's a small camera. When I saw a CF Express, I'm going like, please God, be a Type B. And it is a Type B. And that is just truly, truly remarkable. And of course, as far as rolling shutter goes, rolling shutter is greatly reduced, or suppressed is the term they use, suppression. I'm really, really excited. I got to tell you, I really like using CF Express cards. I've got a bunch of them. And the nice thing about it is if you want to shoot all eye, if you want to shoot at 800 megabits or 600 megabits, you're no longer worried about the size of your cards or the high cost of Type A cards. And even V30 cards, they're expensive. To give you an idea, this 512 gig card from Angelbird is $179.99. You can get it from their site or you can get it from B&H. I've got the links down below. 512 gigs, a minimum sustained write speed of 800, no matter where you are in the card, no matter how long you've been recording for. This would be ideal. $179 to add to your GH6 pre-order. I highly recommend it. I was looking just on B&H yesterday, and I saw a bunch of V60 and V90 cards. They're 128 gigs, some 256 gigs for $199.99. And here you go, 512 gigs for $179, and that's the regular price. And I might just recommend getting a pair of them. Now, you can get the 1 terabyte for $479.99, but it's, with this camera, with a lot of the frame rates being, no more than 800 megabits, it's not like you're dealing with 2.3 or 3.2 gigabits per second. You're dealing with what is essentially, so 800 divided by, you're dealing with about 100 megabytes per second. So 512 gigs is going to be more than enough. So I'm really excited. I almost can't stop talking here. This is what I was hoping for. Yes, I did want to see a phase detect, and I get it. A lot of you are just saying, let it rest, but we can't. We know this is topical. We know people want to see a phase detect, but what really matters at the end of the day, Jesse, Stop the FOMO, and a lot of you that are looking at new cameras, what really matters is the results. Forget that it has micro four thirds. Forget that it has depth from defocus. What are the end results? I'm really looking forward to what Jordan has to say on this. I know he's really busy this month. I've been trying to get him on the channel. He says, look, at the end of the month, I'm fine, but right now, and I knew why he was busy, he gets all the good cameras, and so do others, and we'll just have to, I would watch several videos. And when you're watching, if the face is in perfect focus, look at the background to see if it hunts a little bit, because when I was watching the S1 when it came out, my eyes started to get sore after 2 hours of watching videos online, and what I realized was happening is even when the autofocus was bang on, the background pulsed a little bit, which created some exhaustion for my eyes. I'm just over the moon with this. I am a Canon R5 shooter, but I look at this GH6 and I think, wow. Now, what we don't know is price. It's rumored to be around $2,500. I have said it's going to be around $2,000 to $2,500. We've got the OM1 at $2,199. I wouldn't be surprised, like if Panasonic is really going to put on their tux and go all out here, meet the OM and go $21.99, but I could see them go $22.99. I think once you start to go $23, $24, $25.99, I think it will still sell, but you want to attract people outside of the Panasonic realm. And if it can really produce the 4K 120, the 4K 60, really, really sharp, really detailed and accurate autofocus with much reduced rolling shutter, I would probably pick the GH6 over the R6 and over the A7 IV for video. Maybe not for stills. And I get it. These are just really specifications. These are the leaked specifications of the GH6. We don't have all the other information yet. We don't know what it translates to in end results. So I'm going to get ready to wrap things up here. One thing I do want to mention, these two cards that I was talking about before, the 512 gig, this one here, and the 160, I am giving away one of these at the end of the month, and it's going to be to one lucky subscriber. All you have to do to win is be a subscriber of this channel, so go ahead and subscribe, and if you're already subscribed, don't worry, you're already enrolled. You have to be at least 18 years of age. If you're younger than that, well then get your parents to subscribe, as long as it's the person winning is 18 years of age. And because it's under $200 or under $600, there's no IRS information you have to fill out or anything else worldwide. As far as a postal address, it does have to be on the planet somewhere. It can't be off-world. It can't be Alpha Centauri. It can't be the Vega system. It can't be anywhere other than a postal address on Earth here, so I can send it to you. And if you're part of Elon Musk's secret base on Mars, yeah, I know there's no secret base. I'm just saying, if you're off-world, this doesn't count. But anybody, what I'm trying to say is it's open to everybody. I'm trying to make this so everybody can apply. And now for GH6 owners, to be able to get super fast cards, like this one here, the 160 gig, minimum sustained write speed of 1,480 megabytes per second. That's 1.5 megabytes. And of course, the 512 gig card at 800 megabytes per second sustained. It doesn't matter if the card's 85% full and 95% full. It's going to ensure that minimum sustained write speed. But that's it for now. Enough of me rambling on. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below of the GH6. I'm also going to put a poll out there. I want to know what you're thinking of getting, if you're happy about the GH6, because I'm pretty staggered by this. I think this is a very, very good foot forward by Panasonic, and I think the wait might be worth it. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. That's it for now. We'll see you again soon.